When people talk about their hometown, they usually start with landmarks. The cafe, the ball field, the grain elevator you could see from the highway, the four-way stop that never really needed to be a four-way stop. I remember all of that, but I don't remember it because of concrete or brick or paint. I remember it because somebody decided it mattered. At the cafe, there was a wall with veterans' names on it. It wasn't a fancy wall. It wasn't lit like a museum exhibit. It was just there, part of the room, part of the air. As a kid, you don't study the plaque. You notice that the adults do. You notice the way someone pauses for half a second when they walk past it. You notice the way a name gets said out loud once in a while. That wall existed because somebody thought remembering was important enough to nail it to drywall. That's what I remember. Not the wall, the decision. The youth league field was the same way. The dirt was dragged smooth before games. The chalk lines were straight. The concession stand always had something hot, even if it was just a hot dog that's been setting too long. That didn't happen because small towns automatically came with baseball diamonds. It happened because somebody spent a Saturday building it. Somebody sat in folding chairs through meetings. Somebody decided the kids in Maroa were worth the trouble. When you're 10, you don't think about that. You just think it's normal. You assume every town has adults who will build something just because you might use it. Later, you realize that's not automatic. It's chosen. Every good memory I have of that town traces back to a person. A coach who stayed late. A teacher who noticed. A neighbor who waved. A parent who didn't even have a kid on the team, but still showed up to help. Even the boring things were built by someone. The parade route, the Christmas lights, the folding tables at the park. None of that appears on its own. A town isn't the structures. It's the accumulation of decisions. Thousands of small ones. Someone thought this mattered. Someone decided this was worth doing. When I write about Maroa now, I'm not really writing about streets or buildings. I'm writing about how it felt to be held by all of that. Not held in a sentimental way, but held in a structural way. Like the adults had quietly agreed, without a meeting and without a speech, that the kids were going to grow up okay. And then they acted like that was true. I worry sometimes that I'm writing this too late. A lot of the people who built the version of Maroa I remember aren't there anymore. Some have passed. Some moved. Some are older now and probably don't think about ball fields or the plaques or the concession stand at all. But I think they should know something. It worked. Whatever they were trying to build, it worked. It made at least one kid feel steady enough that decades later, he's still writing about it. And here's the part that feels selfish. I write these stories because it makes me feel better. There was a time when I would have thought that was a flaw. Now I think that's the only honest reason to do anything. I've learned that nothing settles me more than seeing that something I made, a sentence, a story, a small decision, made someone else feel seen for a second, made them smile, made them think about their own town, maybe even made them call someone they hadn't thought about in a while. That feeling doesn't come from applause. It comes from connection. And connection is exactly what those people in Maroa built without ever naming it that. They didn't say, we're constructing a psychologically stable environment. They built a field. They hung a plaque. They showed up. They kept the lights on. They made sure the concession stand opened. They created a place that felt worth remembering. And now I sit somewhere else, years later, talking about it. If nobody listened, I'd still write these. Because what I'm doing is saying thank you without making it awkward. Thank you for dragging the field. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for deciding that the kids were worth it. A town is not brick. It's not a population number. It's not even geography. It's a collection of people who, for a stretch of time, decided to make something decent for each other. That's what Maroa was to me. Not the buildings, the people who built them, and the way they made it feel to grow up there.